for it. Okay, and it looks like I am pausing the game. All right, so it looks like DJ Wheat's casting computer is starting to churn out. Whoa, I am not touching a thing on my computer. I am too scared to let this game finish, because if this was a regame, that would be an absolute tragedy.
Agreed. Wait for the official.
Yeah, it looks like there's instability on the servers right now. We're just going to hold where we are. Again, that is one problem with trying to connect with things on the internets.
So we will just go ahead and hold on. This is talk about where we're at here at this time without giving away anything, since there's nothing but silence going out here for the players. Going to try to let this sort of smooth itself out, and we did obviously see that noticeable lag there. Back and forth pushes. This game has actually been quite exciting for a Steps of War matchup. Some nice contain. I wanted to go back and talk about the salvaging of the bunkers at that point. You were talking about how it was the anti-timing. Will you talk a little bit about that play that we saw there?
Initially, I thought it was going to be the anti-timing, because the size of TTOne's force was really large and in general would be able to crush Jinro's force. However, Jinro did have the advantage of being on the high ground, getting the arc. He was able to micro his units very, very effectively and to pick off that Colossus on the way up. However, I actually think it turned out to be just the right time to do it in retrospect, because if TT1 had gone up and seen 2 bunkers, TT1 would have pulled right back and kept all those units alive. But he didn't see the bunkers. He probably got as excited as I did and then moved up and ended up losing most of that army and only saved it because of that very well-planted force field.
Okay, well, we haven't seen any more waitings come up, but we are going to get the official word before we resume the game and get started here once again. This is the Grand Finals, an extended series between LiquidJinro and Fnatic TT1.
Wow.
And we do have Jinro in the lead 3-1. We've paused momentarily to make sure that everything will sort itself out. And once we get the the go-ahead, we will go ahead and begin. So, some amazing stuff we've seen this game.
I'm looking at the mini-map right now. I don't know if the players have their headphones on, but hopefully they'll cover their ears, because there is this drop coming right by the natural. Literally, perhaps the most uncomfortable time for both players. If you are moving in for a drop as Jinro, and you have about 12 units total. I'm actually looking at the unit counting station, 14 Marauders. That's it. Oh. Uh-oh, please stay connected. You're looking at our screens, but you see, this is exactly how I hold up my hands if I'm watching any sort of scary zombie movie.
It's actually very true. I experienced that last weekend.
Yeah, when we watched Walking Dead, and I was sobbing like a little girl.
It was pretty awesome.
It was pretty great.
It was a pretty awesome scene. Sean all bundled up, getting scared.
Yeah, it appears we still are having server instability, and this is probably the most uncomfortable time for Jinro, because he has a drop right there that he wants to drop. It looks like they're making an official announcement on it. We will get word in just a moment, but I mean, it really goes to show that players absolutely desperately need good conditions. That's why they often take 5, 10, 15 minutes to set up, to warm up their hands, to make sure the mouse and keyboard feels right. And if all that is set up and the response time is delayed, I mean, a lot of these players can even feel 5 to 10 more milliseconds of delay than it's supposed to be.
Yep, and we are waiting on server right now. Some great matches so far. Grand Finals is currently going on right now. 3-1 right now, as it looks like it clears itself one more time. It's
I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, waiting for
storm.
server, and there's just a surrender button. And if you're trying to build SCVs, at the exact time that happens, you just sort of auto-surrender.
Yeah.
That has definitely been one of the funnier sources of, obviously, all of my losses.
All of them.
Never actually lost a game for real. But now that's up on my screen, and occasionally it disappears, and I go,
it's time.
And then it comes back up, and
it's not. So we will wait. This is a very anxious time right now, just quite frankly, because it's almost like watching an hour of a movie, and if the movie's 90 minutes, and then all of a sudden, VCR eats the tapes. I know who uses VCRs anymore, David. 10 years ago when that happened, and then you're never going to get to see the last 30 minutes of it. Right here, right now.
It's actually tragic to think that there's some kids these days who will never get the feeling of pushing a VHS tape.
Or having to rewind for that.
Yeah, having to rewind. Yeah, I mean, unless they, of course, bought the famous DVD rewinder. It was a great piece of technology that made a little splash.
I made a lot of money off of that. What are you talking about? So still waiting We're going to get the official word right now. Of course, all these things go through the necessary channels. When you're running a tournament that has a lot of prize money on the line, that has specific adminning rules, tournament rules, it's very important to stick to those rules. Make sure that you're following it for the integrity of the competition. Unfortunately, we can't always, know about the forecast, and got some bad news.
We were dropped from the game.
We were dropped from the game.
Wow. So, well, it looks like we're going to have to make an official ruling about this in a moment. It appears that all the players have finally disconnected. That was an absolutely tragic result there.
How can we not see the end of a game where there was a Manor Factory building a Hellion?
I know, right? There was so much amazing about that game. I always get scared about players who rely on the fast Colossus, but TTOne revealing a very beautiful timing push, and it turns out that even though he was able to do that great timing, it was eventually a disconnect. And we're just going to make sure right now that BattleNet does manage to stabilize. As it turns out, it was a server-side issue on BattleNet, completely unavoidable. The internet connection is working fine, as everyone, of course, will know if they're watching an internet stream.
Absolutely.
That's how we're sending it to you right now.
Absolutely. So, unfortunately, in these situations, obviously out of the tournament, out of the players, out of our control at this point, what is going to happen is there will be a regame of this particular match. Until we get just we'll just start off from the place where we were dropped. It does not exist, so we will be replaying this game on steps just a moment. Now, because there was a server-side issue, I think we'll go ahead and verify that everything is okay with the connection once again to BattleNet before we go ahead and continue.
Now, I honestly think that probably both players are going to be happy that that game is over, because both players were walking the razor's edge at the end of that game. I'm actually going to reopen up that game and just show how absurdly close it was. So we'll see if if we can get a monitor switch to my computer. Fantastic. So TT1 opened up fairly normally. We're going to be watching mainly TT1's screen at the start, because I do think that his build was quite clever. Jinro did, of course, do the very fast cancel. Now, this was probably the first weird part of the game, where we did see this probe trying to do harassment, and it actually never even saw a second bunker building.
Yeah.
So Jinro thought that he had trixied a TT1, but of course TT1, really this is all that he'd ever saw. He'd only ever poked to this north area. But you always hear me say that the fast Colossus is a very, very dangerous time for any Protoss player, because when you get the Colossus fast, you're low on gateway units, you can't afford that range, you can't really afford to defend well. But TT1 basically said, don't forget how much damage a Colossi can do, and did a rush with it. And this was very, very nicely timed. Here comes the robotics facility. Now, if you're TT1, again, this is all you've seen, and TT1 is going to do a little bit of scouting around here and essentially say, well, I haven't seen anything come out of you. I've actually seen no Reaper, no pressure, no nothing, no Hellion, probably going to be a Banshee. So he's going to go ahead and leave it back. And, of course, when he moved that probe up, that was 100% confirmation that there was some sort of very dangerous tech coming. And here comes the Colossus. We go to the resource station. We see that a few probe kills were gained there by that Banshee, but this Colossus timing, I was absolutely blown away by. I mean, here it comes out. There's the second observer going, and notice that there is an observer in this initial bout, but Jinro managed to get some extra life going on here. Now, this battle was so huge. I think Jinro was shocked to see it come this fast, but he did get the ultra-fast speed, and they're immediately darting up. Zealots take very little damage, and look at those beautifully planted force fields, and look at this observer, and there's the target fire by Jinro on that observer with that back marine, so that way this Banshee will be able to stay alive. I mean, there's so many decisions that after the fact, and when we're playing the game at the normal speed that we're seeing right now, you just kind of go, wow, what great defense by Jinro. Oh, he didn't have cloak. But then when you see little things like these two units were doing that, these three were being slid that way, you can really appreciate how fast these players are making excellent decisions. So at this point, we saw that no Expo coming up by Jinro, no Expo coming up from TT1. Jinro makes a second attempt with another Banshee, but There was some amazing repair micro right there, and everything did die, and I don't think that he realized that there was just one Marauder in that bunker. There were a few more units popping out, but really it was going to be 2 Marauders against an army. So TT1 did have a little bit of a window there, but I do think that this was still the correct decision, as he just can't know what we know. And he took this expansion. And I mean, I should actually keep the unit station open for now, just to note that I don't know if any of these ever get to double digits. I mean, 5 Stalkers, or 5 Zealots, 8 Stalkers, trying to go in for another push. And this was the anti-timing. If he sends that probe up and sees the bunker, he pulls back. But watch how brilliantly Jinro controls this. There was picking off the Zealots at the front. There's the stem darting forward. There goes down the Colossus so fast. And look at him, getting one shot off on the Observer, but then the Raven falls. So he's unable to take advantage of that, and now pulling back so the medevac can heal just a little bit more, and is going to be managing to take out those units. And this was so clutch by TT1. So at this point, they're essentially even. But I mean, we're at the 13-minute mark. Both players are just around 70 food, so incredibly low. There's your favorite part of the game, Wheat.
That was awesome.
Yeah, man, Manor Factory action. Jinro tries to move up here again, and I think he is doing what a lot of Terran players love doing, which is just to keep that Colossus count low. And I want you to note that we have about 1 minute left in the game. 4 Zealots, 7 Stalkers, 3 Sentries, a.k.a. nothing. This is the entire Terran army right here of 10 Marauders, a medevac, and 2 Vikings. Both players are going to be in a tremendous relief to be able to go back to somewhat of a normal game. You know, even though Jinro did play a game against TT1 that was one-sided, and TT1 just crushed, it's actually a lot easier to play a game like that instead of play a game like these. We even see TT1 again making use of that adrenaline, playing up at a solid 230 in almost all of his games. There's the other Colossus coming out. No range at all. Has only just now gotten a 3rd gate. And wow, was this game close. And then here comes the tragic drop. There's the lag from TT1. And I mean, look at this situation. There's a factory down here doing nothing. This is 2/3 of the force. That's the other 1/3 in that medevac. We don't even see that many SCVs here. Looks like Jinro was dead broke in the main. Look at all those mineral fields. And only 3 barracks. So, wow, it was going to be an uphill battle for both players.
So that will sort of nullify that game. And still awaiting word on the stability that we are hoping for the remainder of the finals games. If you just joined us, this is the MLG Dallas 2010 National Championships here. I am DJ Wheat.
Hi, I'm Day 9.
And we are in an extended series between TT1 and Jinro, 3-1, as we are going to be going back to Steps of War.
So, you know, I really do think that, honestly, this is going to be a super extended series as they're trying to make sure that everything is working properly. So we are still waiting just a few more minutes to make sure that everything is going to be set up correctly. We have just gotten word that the players are just still making sure that everything's all right, just playing a brief sparring match to make sure. Because, again, we don't want to have that happen twice.
No, yeah, absolutely. Don't want to have that happen while we've got this moment. We want to thank all the people who have been watching this entire weekend, all the people that helped make this stuff possible over here.
I'm going to go ahead and boot myself from the game.
Yeah. All the spectators out there, all the teams, all the players that have come. There you go. You at home, you guys. Some very clever signs. That's what I love about the StarCraft community. So intelligent, you guys, and so funny, too. Of course, all the sponsors here. You know, I did get a chance today. There's a special Call of Duty event going on over there. I guess 8 of the best teams that have been battling it out over the course of a while online. They are now having a live competition here, and I know that those guys have put a lot of work into it, and it sounds like it's pretty exciting. Tekken ended yesterday. Of course, it is a Halo Championship Sunday as well. Reach just being released not too long ago, and the whole community just rallying behind the game itself, and a lot of other great activities here. All the sponsors that are here and contributing to the greatness of the MLG event. And this has been a really, really nice venue too to have it in.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of room for a crowd there in the back area, sitting on the floor, sitting on the bleachers. And it looks like, you know, You and me might even be able to play a game in a little bit here.
Oh, yeah?
Play a game. I can go ahead and look there to see what position you are. That's
and just be like, wheat, 4SD, 4SD,
4SD, wheat,
check
make
your
drones.
food,
Don't worry,
check your
just
food,
one at a time.
4SD, 4SD. How much energy does your queen have?
Just
4SD,
tap. Just tap it.
Tap,
Just tap it once.
tap.
Just got to tap it.
Yes.
Yep.